Fall camp is over. Week 1 of the season is here. It's all exciting. What did we learn from fall camp? How's it going to affect this season? We're going to talk all about that. Let's get into it. It's Locked On Vandy right now.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's game week. Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. And shout out to the everydayers, affectionately known as lovers. So we're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. And visit FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So, on today's episode, it's week 1. It's game week. And we're going to get into it all. And we're going to, I'm excited. We're finally here. No more camp stories. No more speculating on position battles. And no more trying to gain nuggets out of practice and all that. It's time to go. Ready or not, here we are. And it is the start of the season. So we've learned a lot from this year's fall camp as we do every single year in fall camp. And I think those things we can take. And I feel very excited about this season based on the way fall camp has gone. Now, last year, fall camp was a little dicey. And Vanderbilt won 7 games, 6 regular season and a 7th as the bowl game. And, the offense didn't look like it could function for more than 2 plays in a row coming out of fall camp. And it was kind of a mess. And not going to lie, a lot of people, myself included, I had optimism, but it was cautious optimism. And it was like, ooh, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm saying it, but like, okay. So we're going to get into all that. What do we learn from fall camp? Offense does have weapons. Defense has depth. That's the very, very short version of it. We're going to look at the week 1 lines in the SEC, let you know what's happening around the league, and also let you guys know how I did last week. So that being said, man, I'm ready. It's game week. Let's get into it, right? So what did we learn from fall camp? Right? And usually this first episode of the week is going to discuss kind of what we learned from the game. What did we learn about Vanderbilt, good or bad? Kind of a good, bad, and the ugly type situation. But like, what did we learn? What do we gain from this past experience? And there's no game, so this past experience is fall camp. So we're going to talk about what we learned from that, and we're going to carry that through the week. And then we'll talk about game planning stuff. We'll take a look at the opponent, and then Friday we'll make the predictions and other picks as presented by FanDuel. So game week is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be pretty consistent unless something major happens that supersedes any of that stuff. It's all going to be pretty straightforward, so you know what to expect anytime you click on this show throughout the week. So here's what we learned. This was an exciting fall camp. I'll be honest. I enjoyed reading the reports. I enjoyed hearing the storylines. I enjoyed talking about the possibilities that this team has, because I think this team is in a much, much better place than they were this time last year. I think we were all kind of hanging on, and I know I was kind of hanging on. Like, I know I just went out on a limb and picked us to beat Virginia Tech, but I'm not so sure that limb is not going to snap underneath my feet. So this year I feel a lot better. I've made some bold predictions, as I do, because I'm very bullish on this team. I'm very bullish on what Clark Lea is doing and the staff that he's put together, and the nucleus of players that hopefully when they leave, it will leave, they'll leave behind the blueprint to, how you lead this team and how you go about doing business at Vanderbilt. So back to it. What did we learn? Well, Diego Pavia, he is a much different quarterback now. He has full command of the offense, and he's ready to take this thing to new heights. I mean, you look at just just the sheer fact that he is the unequivocal starter alone makes this thing more comfortable, right? Because he's not looking over his shoulder. He's not pressing. He's not trying to make plays so he can win the starting quarterback job. We know it's his job. We know he is the guy. Everyone in the world knows that Diego Pavia is the guy. So the question is, how is he going to handle it? And I think he's handled it quite nicely. I think he is understood, and it is obvious listening to him speak and kind of reading the reports and just kind of seeing how he's progressed throughout fall camp. It's obvious that he watched film and did a lot of self-scouting because he is getting better at the things that he needs to get better at. And pocket awareness, footwork, short to intermediate accuracy, taking those throws instead of bailing out, all of that stuff. That's part of having full command of this offense, being able to check in and out of plays. That's part of having full command of this offense, being able to look the other 10 guys in the huddle and say, hey, I got this. Let's freaking go. Except he uses a different word. And let's do this thing, right? And that's the kind of confidence you need out of your quarterback. Because if these weapons are going to perform, if these other guys are going to, I call them weapons, but if these other players are going to perform above their head, they need to know that their quarterback is doing the same. And there is zero doubts that Diego Pavia is doing that. There's zero doubts that Eli Stowers is doing that. And I think these two are leading the pack. And this offense is going to look totally different from a year ago, because I think it's going to be more organized. I think you're going to see it be more explosive. Coach Beck talked about being more of a vertical threat and having more of a vertical presence within this offense. And that's going to push defenses back, because the story coming into this season about Diego Pavia, the detractors, the haters, the whoever's that doubt that Pavia is going to have any bit of success, the people that are saying, oh, Vanderbilt's going to go back to winning 2 or 3 games, it'll be back to normal because defenses have figured him out. They won't really be able to do much. And I just don't think they take into account that, I think these weapons have really these weapons they've added, these players they've added have bought in. Trey Richardson, a guy that you took a chance on coming out of Division II, Wabash College. Unbelievable camp. He's going to be an absolute nightmare. And Coach Gruden talks about being a nightmare. I think Vanderbilt can go into these places and be that nightmare. It's a matter of, can the other teams wake up fast enough before the nightmare gets them, right? Like, this team has a chance to play Freddy Krueger for a lot of teams, starting with Virginia Tech and South Carolina. Those are the 2 week 2 and week 3 games that they could really play a little Freddy Krueger role and messing up these teams' dreams, right? Virginia Tech has ACC dreams. Vandy can be the nightmare. South Carolina has playoff dreams. Vandy can be the nightmare, right? And it's Diego Pavia. It's the weapons on offense. It's the offensive line building in. They've rebuilt. They've improved. They have gelled, dude. They've worked their butts off in the offseason to make sure that they have everything and they're on the same page. And they want to make sure that Pavia can get the ball to these receivers. They want to make sure they can utilize Eli Stowers. They're going to do pre-snap. They're going to do a lot of stuff pre-snap. There's going to be a lot of check-in. I think Diego Pavia has full power over how this offense runs. And the command that he has, like I said, is going to help them get into the right plays. It's going to help them take advantage of what the defense doesn't know is coming and what the defense is going to give them, and be able to get guys in favorable matchups, things like that, be able to, spread things out, push the ball downfield so that they can get a little bit of space on the edge. I mean, a lot of things that they're going to do, I think, in year 2, when you have a veteran group, at least you have a veteran core with Eli Stowers, Diego Pavia, and Cedric Alexander. You have that core of guys at the skill positions that will allow you to do things and be able to coach the other guys up. Because the receivers are new, but they've played, they understand how to learn an offense, and I think you can quickly integrate those guys. And with a leader like Diego Pavia, you can definitely do that. And the offensive line, I think, is a group that I'm very excited about, because they're going to flat get after it. That's what we learned. This offense is going to be a nightmare for people, because I think they can attack you from multiple different angles, right? And this first game is going to allow them to kind of perfect that a little bit and get right for their big road trip to Blacksburg. So that's what we learned about this offense. They have weapons, they know how to use them, and they're going to and it's going to be an exciting group. It's going to be an exciting unit. The offense is going to explode because you have Diego Pavia at the helm. I don't want to say new and improved, but like a much improved version from 2024 Diego Pavia. I think this version is going to have some things in his bag that he didn't have last year, which if he had those things, I think we're talking about Vanderbilt possibly being in the playoff conversation versus they go to the Birmingham Bowl and beat Georgia Tech, which is an impressive win. But I think some things would go different if Diego Pavia had some of these things in his repertoire. So, but let's not discount the defense. What do we learn about them? I'm as much as I'm excited about the offense, I'm like equally or doubly excited about the defense. We're going to talk about what they bring to the table. We're going to do that next. But first, we're going to talk Rugiet. Have you ever, I'm sure you've tried Viagra, Cialis. You've heard of them, definitely. You've seen the commercials, all that good stuff. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. So if traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer because over 150,000 men have already made the switch. And I love that it's completely online too. Rugiet connects you with board-certified doctors and ships your treatment discreetly to your door. You can even read real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but aren't FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety and effectiveness or manufacturing review. So please visit Rugiet website for full safety information. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen. If you need a second one, Locked On SEC is the place to go. Chris Gordy with week one, all these betting lines. He's got a lot of storylines to talk about, a lot of exciting games coming up. I wonder if he'll talk Vandy and Charleston Southern. Chris Gordy, maybe so. Anyway, what do we learn? Right, that's the basis. That's how we start our week. That's how we're going to start our week every week. What did we learn? What did we learn? So there was no game. We learned that Farmageddon was sloppy and then it turned good. We learned that Ireland, I don't know if you guys know this, but it rains there a lot. And it rained. So we learned that week 0. We learned that I don't count out Iowa State. We learned that. But what did we learn about this team? What did we learn about Vanderbilt? We learned that this offense has a lot of weapons and they're still kind of figuring it out. I think Pavia has full command of that offense, obviously. It's I think it's going to be a quick transition. Last year, it kind of seemed like things were really down in the dumps, and all of a sudden, boom, they explode because it was a whole lot of like our defense just dominating because our defense knew what they were doing, and our defense was super talented. So, people were panicking about this offense. Shouldn't have been. And I feel that group is way ahead of where they were last year. So sky's the limit there, right? I think the same is true for defense, man. And this defense has done nothing but dominate. The depth has been outstanding. The overall depth is ridiculous, especially in the front seven. That's what we learned. We learned that this defensive line can flat get after you in different ways. We learned that, hey, Steve Gregory is going to be aggressive but calculated. His goal is to get pressure where pressure is needed. And sometimes that means disrupting the outside targets. Sometimes that means getting pressure on the quarterback or a combination of both. I think he's going to be a little bit more aggressive and take a little bit more risk than Clark Lea did last season. And I think with him being dedicated to only the defense and not having to be the head coach as well, I think that's going to put him in a really good position to be able to get this defense right. I think there were times where, honestly, and this is no fault of anybody. It's not saying like, oh, Clark Lea's terrible, but like being the head coach and a defensive coordinator is tough because like you have to get these, like you're responsible for getting these guys in position. You're responsible for communicating what needs to be communicated across the defense. And when you're the head coach, you have to be in tune with all aspects of the game because you're the head coach. Right. That's why it's tough. That's why it's tough for these guys offensively as well. The offensive coordinators that call the games as well. I mean, it's equally as tough on them. Like head coaches in major college football cannot be coordinators. They can help. They can be an influence, but they can't do everything that a defensive coordinator has to do or an offensive coordinator has to do. And that's where Steve Gregory, I think he took some lumps last season. Obviously, he was learning, and I think there was some things where like the transition wasn't. I don't know if it was all that smooth, and you could see it at times. You could kind of see the up and down nature of this defense, and I think obviously it's going to be now that they've got that settled. They've had all off season to kind of self-scout again and just kind of see where, okay, what do we need to do? How do we make sure these guys are well communicated? How do we build depth? All that good stuff. And they've done all of that. They've developed this team. This team is very sharp. This team is, they communicate, they fly around, they hit you, they're sharp. You couldn't say the same thing last year. You could not say that. And the quality of depth, I think, especially in the defensive line, when you bring guys in, like Jalen Stone, Mitchell Nelson, those guys. Corday Sidnor is going to be great. He's not a rotational guy. He's gonna start, obviously. But like you bring in these guys, and they're just, there's not going to be a drop off. That's the thing. Like I think last year you just kind of ran out of bodies. Guys got hurt. Guys got tired. They couldn't go. Teams knew that, and they game planned for that. And that was kind of one of those situations to where you're just kind of hoping that you can make a big play somewhere and somebody's going to pick you up because you couldn't get pressure from the inside. I think you have more guys now this year that's going to be able to do that. If you can push the pocket on guys like Lenore Sellers, you can kind of box them in, right? You don't have to get a quick rush on them. Sometimes it'd be great to get a quick guy in there in his face, but like if you're not getting much of a push from the interior, you're going to create creases. You're going to create running lanes, and he's just going to step up, avoid that rush, and go, right? But if you got a consistent rush and you got a really muddy pocket that's being collapsed on you from the inside, that's hell on a quarterback like Lenore Sellers. That's hell on a quarterback like Kyron Drones. That is awful, and quarterbacks, if you could rattle them, they'll start looking at the rush. So being able to have guys that can do that outside of your top 2 or 3 is huge, right? You get quality linebacker play from the inside line. You got Rinaldi, Bryce Cowan, even Prince Collie can come in. Keanu Coate coming off the edge to relieve Miles Capers. You can have situations where you've got some of those guys in there all together. Of course, your starters, Brian Longwell and Langston Patterson, are going to be special. Like, I don't want to discount them, but like your front 7 is going to be ridiculous. And Brandon Fontenette, I guess you can consider him. He's kind of like a hybrid front 7, hybrid, DB. Like he could count for either, really, depending on where he's lined up. But I mean, Jesus, like you got Rambo there. He's gonna. I made all my Rambo analogies. You know where they are. But this group is going to be special, man, and I can't wait to see how well this depth plays. I mean, just the play calling, I think, is going to be better. The communication is going to be better. You're seeing very few mental busts, right? Like last year against Virginia Tech, they scored a touchdown and there was a safety nowhere to be found because he was supposed to play the deep half and he drove on an out route, left it wide open. The corner thought he was going to be there. So, the corner played his role and they were both down and nobody was back, and wide open 75-yard touchdown. It gave Virginia Tech some momentum. So like those are backbreaking things that happen, or like there's a miscommunication on 3rd and 12 and they pick up 13, or you can't get home on you have to send a blitz and you can't get home on a 3rd and long and they convert, like that kind of thing. And I think you're going to see more of that. Like guys like Colby Taylor, who struggled to play within himself last year, is playing within himself. Like he's super talented. I always knew that he was. But like if he could ever get it together mentally, not come out with stupid penalties. And I'm not talking about pass interferences because some pass interferences are great, right? Not all of them are stupid. Like there's some pass interferences I'm like, okay, I ain't mad at you. Just getting the stupid penalties, right? Like the keep him on the field taunting penalties or whatever he got, is going to be really, really good for this defense. And so the development of him at the boundary corner is going to be great. I think the concern was when you lost to Ricky Wright and CJ Taylor that your safety position was going to take a step back. Experience-wise, they did, but they make up for it in athleticism, and honestly, they know enough. And I think Steve Gregory is going to put them in positions to where they can succeed. But you got an athletic bunch there with Marlon Sewell, C.J. Hurd, Dante Carter, and Carson Lawrence. Carson Lawrence is going to play as a freshman. He's going to contribute. So this defense is exciting, man. Like they're going to calculated aggressiveness. This group is going to be with their hair on fire, right? You're going to see a group because you have a dedicated defensive coordinator that can help arrange that stuff. And as a head coach, you're kind of more risk averse just by nature of the position because you're worried about all aspects of the game and how it's going to affect. But you give a defensive coordinator green light, man, boom, they're going, right? They're getting pressure. Like this dude wore a green dot for Bill Belichick. That's a special, special thing. So what did we learn about this defense? They're going to be explosive, dude. They're going to be nasty, right? They have depth now. So they're going to be nasty. They're going to be great. So that's what we learned. So we learned this team is going to have calculated aggressiveness on defense. They're going to have full command offensively. They're going to set to go. They're going to move it all down the field. I think they're going to be in a more explosive version of themselves offensively. They're still going to be able to control the clock, but I think they're going to do so with more explosive plays mixed in there. And I think they're going to have some chance to increase their scoring output to kind of match their time of possession. I think there was a little bit of an imbalance there offensively and defensively. I think they're going to provide this offense more opportunities for that. So I'm very excited about this team. If you're not, man, you should be. So we're going to talk about the week one lines. The betting lines are out. It's exciting. We're going to see what's going on around the conference. And it's game week, guys. Let's get it. That's right. It is game week. It's also, there's a holiday on the 26th. What holiday is that? Well, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one, this is your moment, right? So why not take a flyer on, well, I don't know if it's a flyer, but Josh Allen is MVP. Mr. Hard Knocks. Why not crown your champion? I think it's going to be the Eagles again. And you could also parlay your division winner dark horses. I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South for sure. I don't know what else I'm going to take. I have to kind of look. But what I'm going to do and what you should do is visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. So FanDuel, play your game. All right, Locked on Vandy. It is game week, Charleston Southern week, right? What did we learn? We learned that fall camp is very, very productive. I'm very excited about the season is here, man. It's time to go. All this talk, all this stuff, the rubber meets the road, toe meets leather, whatever idiom you want to use to signify the start of college football. It is here. And last weekend was good, man. There were some good games, like Stanford, Hawaii was a really good game. Farmageddon was a really good game. I think there was some really good action. Idaho State really kind of took off a little bit, surprised me. They almost upset UNLV. They didn't, but they almost did. So here was my week 0 picks. How did I do? Iowa State plus 3.5. Dub. Kansas minus 12.5. Dub. They look good, man. Hawaii, minus 2.5. I wish I could have done better there, but I would have loved to start that 3-0, but who knows? That could have been, again, it is what it is, man. But so here's what I'm thinking. All right, here's the week one lines for here's the week one betting lines for the SEC. There's a slate of really, really good games. If you can't tell, I'll put the favorite and their point spread underneath them. We're going to start the week off great. Thursday, Missouri hosting Central Arkansas. They're 36.5 point favorites. Friday night is going to see Auburn take on Baylor. That line has moved back and forth. It sits as of right now minus 2.5 in favor of Auburn. That game's going to be a freaking cauldron at Baylor. So Auburn better bring their lunch bell. Jackson Arnold is going to have his work cut out for him there. Obviously, Charleston Southern at Vandy. We're going to talk about that ad nauseum this week. 36.5 points for Vandy. What do they need to do? What do you want to see? We're going to answer all of that throughout the week. So stay tuned on that. Clemson hosting LSU for the Battle of Death Valley, minus 4.5. I love that matchup there. Cade Klubnik is going to have his chance to plant his first Heisman flag there. Texas at Ohio State. Texas' first big road matchup. I made a bold prediction on the squad show. Texas was going to miss the playoffs. It's road games like this, road games at Georgia, and a road game at Florida. Like, that's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, they're a good team. I got it. Like, I don't hate Texas. That's the thing, though. I don't hate Texas. I just think that's a tough road slate for them. And Ohio State minus 2.5. Syracuse versus Tennessee. It's a neutral site game. Tennessee minus 13.5 favorites there. Syracuse, very, very tricky. Fran Brown's done a phenomenal job building that team, but they lose Kyle McCord. So what are they going to have as their quarterback? What are they going to bring? There's going to be a lot of orange in that building. I don't know if I can watch that one on TV, but Syracuse is very, very tricky. Tennessee looking to see, they're going to kick off the Joey Aguilar era and see what they can do there. Bama at Florida State, 13.5 point favorites for Bama. Florida State 2-10 last year, but it's Florida State. They're not going to stay the same. They're going to be better. Thomas Castellanos talking a lot of trash. Ty Simpson, first game as the unequivocal starter. How is he going to do? How tight is that leash? Kalen DeBoer, it's an important one for him. He's got to go out and not only cover, but cover by a lot. So then you have Vandy's next two opponents, South Carolina at Virginia Tech. So you're going to get a good look at both of those teams. But South Carolina is favored by 7.5, and I believe that to be a neutral site game. Virginia Tech is technically the home team, but I think that's the Duke Mayo Classic in Charlotte. I believe that's happening on Sunday. So South Carolina is favored there by 7.5. Lenore Sellers is looking to make a special run at quarterback, and this will launch South Carolina's season potentially. So we'll see kind of what they have, but. Any lines that stand out from there, man? This is going to be a fun week of college football. Here's the second set of lines. Mississippi State at Southern Miss. That's a tricky game. Mississippi State minus 11.5. Toledo traveling to Kentucky minus 7.5 for Kentucky. Georgia has the highest spread in the league, 39.5. Hosting Marshall. Marshall used to be Conference USA champions. They probably were at the time. I think they were at the time when they scheduled this game. Unfortunately for Georgia, they are not. They're going to be pretty bad. Illinois State at Oklahoma, minus 35.5. There, Ole Miss hosting Georgia State. They are 38.5 point favorites there. Georgia State, led by Del McGee. They're going to kick their season off. Vandy has something special for them. A little bit of revenge lined up, which sounds odd to say. But A&M hosting the Roadrunners, meet, minus 22.5. For the Aggies. This is going to be a special year for the Aggies. They have a chance. They had a chance last year. I think they get it done this year. They beat Tech. Like, that Texas rivalry, any given year, it can go any given way. It doesn't matter who the home team is, honestly. This is going to be a special year for A&M, and they get it started with they beat the first iteration of UT, the San Antonio version, the Roadrunner version. They got 22.5-point favorites. UTSA must be pretty good. And then Arkansas against Alabama A&M, no line there. Florida hosting Long Island University, no line there, obviously. So big week for college football and for the SEC. Looking forward. The game I'm looking forward to the most is South Carolina, Virginia Tech, because that is obviously Vandy's first two opponents. But the next game I'm looking forward to the most, truthfully, is LSU at Clemson. I'm very excited about that game because I think it's going to be some great football. I think you got Nussmeier versus Klubnik, which is going to be a premier quarterback battle, and I'm very excited about that. And I'm just excited to get football started. I just want to see the highlight packages, the highlight break-ins. I'll be watching from my phone at some points in the day. I'll be, listening in, whatever the case may be. This is going to be a fun week. And of course, obviously the Vandy Charleston Southern game is going to be just as important. And we're going to talk about that all week long. So keep it locked right here. It's Locked On Vandy. Like, subscribe if you like what you hear. And we'll see you back here next time. Anchor down. Peace.